Hello and welcome to another Outside Inside Star Citizen. I just hopped out of the PU because, well, I mean, all that I can say is the game is at a really broken state right now. So I saw this video, I saw the IC video posted, and I was like, okay, I'm fucking angry. So why not just watch the video? Because I just halted forward from Star Citizen. So I started watching the video, and I was like, okay, now that I am angry and getting angrier, I should probably make a response video to this video, Outside Inside Star Citizen. And, well, here we go.
Hello, my name is Grumpy. Grumpy Eye. Grumpy. Grumpy Eye. Grumpy. Grumpy Eye. Grumpy
Hi, we're members from the Space Combat team. It is a cross-disciplinary team from multiple teams at CIG. It includes members from Vehicle Experience Team, Vehicle Feature Team, Player Experience Team, and also several other departments. The main thing about these people is that they're invested in space combat and they're actively playing the game.
Okay. Sure.
We're going to discuss the current state of space combat in 3.14 and 3.15. And then we're going to talk about what things are working, what things we're unhappy with, and what changes are coming up in the short and long term to make the experience better.
So surely they're going to talk a lot about desync and like positional desync and like rubber banding and stuff like that. And then after that, they're going to talk about, well, I don't know, like how boring actually PvP and PvE is. Because like, there's not much to it. You just like strafe and do some J-hooks. Maybe you just run away because you can do that, and that's pretty much it. They're probably gonna talk about that, right? No.
And the last thing we're gonna talk about is the importance of community, because we're not making this game in isolation for us. We're making it with and for you.
Aren't you making this game for Chris Roberts? Because it is his dream, and you're making his dream game, and you don't give a fuck about like what we say, or even if you do, you just like lag and respond to us like a year later. I mean, if this is a change of heart or a change of like developing tactics and like project management, I'm all up for it. So yeah, great job, I guess.
We went back through all the previous Star Citizen releases, and we looked at what was the most loved features out of all these releases in the past, and which were the most interesting, what players said about these releases, what they didn't like about these releases. So it's just like an overview of the past design choices and just like an analysis of where they ended up with the game and what experience they brought to the game.
Alright, let me help you out, CAG. So basically the main issue with this game is that you as developers don't know what kind of game you want to make. So yeah, you want to make a space game, but like regarding combat, do you want to make a dogfighting like close CQB fucking game, or do you want to make a like DCS style like modern combat game? Now, if you want to make a modern combat game, everything needs to be like, most of the conflicts need to be resolved with missiles and like high tech. So basically we should be able to kill each other from like ranges of like 10 to 15 kilometers. But I'm gonna give you this, that is not fun. It is realistic, it is fun to a degree, but it can get stale after a while. So I guess you want to do like a World War II type of dogfighting thing where you need to like CQB and like pretty much have a knife fight in air or in space. But here is where you fail with that. So in an ideal situation, if your missiles worked, which they don't in the current build of the game, but if they did, they should be used as like decoys or as finishers. Like when I say decoys, it's just like to make the other guy maneuver so you can get on top of it, so you can get a better positioning. So basically just to force a bad maneuver from him so you can position yourself on top of him and be behind him or have a better angle of attack. When I say a finisher, I mean like when the ship is disabled. If you want to destroy it, you need to like use a missile, or as I already talked about this, maybe, just maybe, have like size 5 torpedoes or size 3 missiles, it doesn't fucking matter, that stick to the enemy's ship and basically behave as a EMP should. So disable the ship, so those missiles could potentially disable the ship until the missile is destroyed by the player or the enemy player. That would give some like interesting stuff to us, because we can like piracy would be much more fun to do, and like bounty hunting would be much more interesting, because you could just board another guy's ship and take him down, like shoot him with your FPS gun, or just like take him into custody. I know that you guys talked about, like, you spoke about handcuffs some time ago, and yeah, we know that handcuffs are coming at some point. But why have handcuffs if you can't board another guy's ship unless you have like 3 guys EMPing that ship so the ship doesn't move?
The second step was to analyze the works of John Boyd, who did a lot of works related to dogfighting and to military strategy theory in the past, meaning so-called OODA loops, which are really important for us for decision making. The third step was to have a lot of calls and chats with so-called subject matter experts. These are people who in the past were working or flying for the armed forces and have a heavy knowledge in dogfighting. We even went so far to have actual dogfighting lessons in flight simulators with former members of the Royal Air Force.
The main thing, or the main issue with your combat mechanics in the game currently are not, like, I still dislike the power triangle, but I guess it's fine. The main issue here is, the main issues are as follows. Issue number 1. Acceleration, because if you engage a bounty, he can just, like, if we're talking about PvP, he can just like hop away really fast, unless you have backup with like a mantis and you have more people to take him down faster, or you need to be a fucking ace and just like not miss any of your shots, which is like, okay, some people can do that, I can do that on some people, but the issue is that most people cannot. And then the enemy or the target is just gonna jump away, and that's it, that's the end of the fight. Or you can just chase him and chase him and chase him forever and not gonna be able to kill him ever. The second, and this is the main issue, is that there is no like zero energy combat. Like, if you look at like World War II dogfights, if you look at like any kind of dogfights, like even if in the modern planes, if they are only using their guns, they need to rely on like their current energy states of their ships, or planes rather. But I know that that is really hard to do in space, because like how do you like not retain or retain energy, or have like energy differences in like space combat? Because if you fling yourself somewhere, you're just gonna go there and that's it. How do you do that? I do not have an answer to that, but you guys are the developers and you guys need to figure it out. Because basically, for people that don't know the basics of energy combat or energy dogfighting, it's basically this. I'm just gonna use like World War II planes for this. You have a I don't know, Focke-Wulf 190. It's a German plane. It was pretty heavy. It didn't maneuver as well, but the thing that it excelled at was just booming and zooming. And you can like go like, I don't know, 10 kilometers up in the sky and boom and zoom the targets and like just kill people in one pass and then pull up, and you're gonna end up at like 8 kilometers because you're gonna lose some energy turning and trying to climb up back to the position where you started at. On the other hand, we had like Spitfires. Spitfires were not like the fastest ships. They were pretty fast in a straight line. They couldn't fly as high, but what they could do is turn on a dime. So what would Spitfire do against a Focke-Wulf? So Spitfire would spot the Focke-Wulf trying to boom and zoom him, and it would like turn really fast, so the Focke-Wulf had to like either change direction to try to follow the turn of the Spitfire, or it would just zoom past and try to climb back up so he can retain energy. After a few failed boom and zoom attempts, Focke-Wulf would be slower than the Spitfire. Spitfire could like outturn and like outmaneuver the Focke-Wulf, and he could take him down. So basically, you are already seeing where I'm going with this. Like that is pretty much the. I can talk about this forever. Like you have a Bf-109, a Messerschmitt, also a German plane that could turn almost as good as the Spitfire. But the Spitfire could still turn faster in like 1 or 2 turns. If they go into a raid fight, the Spitfire would lose its energy much faster than the Messerschmitt, and then the Messerschmitt or the Bf-109 could just like outturn the Spitfire that could turn faster, but it can't anymore because it's slower. So what we have right now in the game in Star Citizen is like we face each other and we get close and we shoot each other, and like the guy with a better aim or the guy that didn't like desync as much, he is gonna win. And that is not dogfighting, and that is not even fucking fun. It's just boring. And like after a while, I mean, you still get a rush because you don't know who's gonna win, because you don't know the other guy and how he flies. But like still, everybody's gonna get a Gladius because the Gladius is the current meta, and they're just gonna fight, and like the better aiming or the guy that like didn't have that much decent, he's gonna win. And there is no tactics to that, and there's no like OODA loops or any John Boyd's strategies. So yeah.
So we brought this all together through a series of combat summits, and this involved bringing people from different areas of the company together. So we went away from our kind of day-to-day stuff, and we got together and talked about, you know, all these past releases, these theories we had about combat and how they kind of, you know, translate to the Star Citizen experience we were aiming for. And we tried to create a plan, you know, for the next 12 months. So we get asked what the high-level goals are as far as space combat goes to Star Citizen. This comes down to a few key points, which is a meaningful decision making. So it's giving the player options and also giving the players the data to act on. So we give the player the information of the systems that we're building so they can make the choices.
The second part is giving every weapon and every vehicle and every other item a proper purpose in the game.
And then we embrace those limitations that those choices make. So the players have to make choices. So it isn't just a case of picking the best of everything. There's certain limitations that come with picking certain things. Then basically it's got to feel believable. So we aren't just artificially making those, you know, limitations for the sake of it. They actually come from real consequences of, you know, of our systems that we build.
I mean, it's fine to have like different purposes for different things, but the thing is, like, all of weapons or whatever, like loadouts, should be able to be used against everything. Like in the current build, we use cannons up against bigger ships because you can't kill them with repeaters, and we use repeaters for smaller ships because you can't kill them with cannons because the cannons are just not gonna hit. And like if you use repeaters on a hammerhead, well, good luck. It's gonna be like a half-hour fight, like for no fucking reason. And then if we talk about dogfights in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, you could have used all the weapons for all purposes. Obviously, some of the weapons like bombs and missiles and unguided rockets were built for different purposes, but if we're talking about like pilot control weapons, they were like all-purpose weapons. And that's why games like War Thunder or IL-2 and stuff like that, that's why they are popular, and that's why they are still popular. And that's why they're just fun. They're just fun to do because you have energy fighting, and you can like take down. If you're on a Spitfire, you can take down a B-52 bomber or a Ju-87 or any of the big ass planes. You can, and it's pretty easy. Unless, of course, if they have gunners, bigger planes had gunners, and then you have to like position yourself a bit better. But it's fun, and like in every dogfight, you will have a guy that's chasing and a guy that's being chased, and with some skill, you can change the odds pretty fast.
And the last high-level goal we want to achieve is to avoid meta gameplay. We realize this is really hard, but we will try to eradicate it as much as possible.
I mean, it is impossible unless you have some kind of energy fighting or some kind of like, I don't know, like this ship, like Gladius is better than a Vanguard in these ways, or not Vanguard, like something like Gladius is better than the Saber in these ways or than the Arrow, but the Saber and the Arrow are better for this and this. And you are on the right track, but it is still like we still look at each other and try to shoot each other, and there's no like flying through canyons, trying to evade shots, or trying to position yourself better, or booming and zooming or anything like that. There's none of that anymore. Booming and zooming was a good tactic in 3.13. It is not a tactic anymore. You can do that, but you need a bunch of people booming and zooming the same targets at the same time, so you can do some actual damage. But that's whatever.
So where are we now with space combat? In 3.14 and 15, we tried to establish a new combat foundation, which meant for us stripping out the granular details in space combat balance for the time being and focus only on the base combat experience first.
And that affected 4 key areas. The first was assigning all ships to a specific archetype. So no ship was the best for everything.
And that is simply not true. If we're talking about PvP, the Gladius is currently the best for everything PvP based. You can strap some cannons on it and it's gonna destroy any of the player multi-crew ships. So yeah, that's simply not true. On the other hand, if we're talking about like multi-crew ships, well, Hurricane is the best ship. And that's it, hands down best ship, because it is broken as fuck.
And then it also allowed us to kind of kick off our journey to improve the multi-crew experience as Star Citizen. So there was a purpose to having more than one person in your ship.
And here's my problem with this. You incentivize people to like multi-crew, but there is no incentive for people to like join orgs, to like play together, to like other than if they're social, they're gonna do it, but they're mostly not gonna do it. Because like everything is intertwined with each other. Like if you want to promote multi-crewing, well, you need to promote org based gameplay. But how are you promoting org gameplay if you do not have like comm systems like Squad has, like Squad the game has, where you can have like different people, members of a squad, talking to each other but not talking to another squad? And then if you press a button, if a squad leader presses a button, he talks to other squads. We don't have that. And on top of that, if you want to promote org gameplay, you need to give us an opportunity to fucking buy ships for orgs. Like either buy with real money or grind in the game and like gift the ships to the org. That's incentivizing org gameplay, and that is what it's all about.
Second, we did the same thing with weapons. Right now there are only 2 archetypes in the game. One type of weapon is good against fighters, the other one is good against large ships. However, we will expand on that in the future.
Okay, thank you. But when?
The third aspect is the shields. We simplified many dynamics in the interim to make them more readable and easier to balance. And lastly, we introduced the capacitor gameplay, which in some sort is the stamina gameplay for our thrusters, weapons, and shields.
I mean, you're just saying, like, you're stating what you already did and telling us that you're gonna do more, but like when and how and what? What is this ISC, dude? Like, seriously?
So with that state established, we can now talk about the combat improvements we want to try in the short term. And the very first of that is GeForce exhaustion. In the past, we had a lot of G-forces, and during dogfighting, G-force was a very important part of how you handle your ship. That impact was lost over time, and we're currently working on bringing that back, which means lowering the G-force thresholds to force players to do certain maneuvers to recover from the exhaustion effects.
Our goal with this is that you'll need to be really careful with, not only how you manage the energy on your ship, but how you manage your ability to sustain Gs over the long term.
I mean, they didn't say much here, but I guess I get it, but is that it? Okay.
Let's quickly expand on the weapon archetypes and variations. At the moment, there's only 2 archetypes for weapons in the game. One is good against fighters, and the other one is good against large ships. But we would like to expand on these types. We would like to see specialized weaponry against infantry, specialized weaponry to intercept ordnance and incoming missiles. We're also thinking about suppression weapons and an unspecialized weapon types like a jack of all trades, master of none, which you can use for everything, but it might not be the best weapon of choice. In addition to that, you can expect that we're gonna spread out the weapon types as such as well. So you can expect anti-fighter cannons and anti-large ship Gatlings again.
Am I the only one not excited about this? I think that all of the weapons should be jack of all trades and master of none. I think that most of them should be multi-purpose, but some of them obviously should be better at some things, and that's it. Why complicate things?
Let's talk about shield variances. In 3.14, we had to unify all shield generators of all sizes in order to rebalance them. In 3.15, we started reintroducing differences between those shield generators again.
And this was kind of to bring the shields down or within a window that we were happy with, because before there was a difference of up to 90% between different shields, and we thought that was too much, where the player couldn't really make a difference.
Going forward, we will try to make the shields more diverse again, so that you have a proper decision to make what to take with you, but still it will only be a moderating variable in the PvP outcome, right? We still want the skill in your dogfighting capabilities to be the deciding factor of the outcome of a dogfight.
I mean, once again, you said what you did before, and then you said that you're gonna do something in the future. Why did you make this video? Seriously.
The power triangle has been super important for us as far as allowing players to manage combat in Star Citizen. It gives players that really cool option to kind of focus their energy on a particular resource that the ship has. But we're still looking at ways we can improve this. So we're looking at kind of adding a non-linear curve to these things, so it doesn't just come in at the same rate throughout the whole kind of regen. And we think this might add a really interesting dynamic and just an extra thought that you've got to put in there when you're managing your systems.
I mean, great. Okay, I suppose I'm into this, but are you gonna make the curves public? Are you gonna show us what the curves are? Of course not. So once again, Urkel Games will have to figure out once again how to fucking rework his website and how to actually figure out the curves inside the game that you put in, so he can simulate that on the website so we can fucking understand it. The only thing, I noticed that you already done this, CAG already did this, because when you put your shields all the way to, in the current middle of the game, if you put all the power to your shields, for example, your weapons and your engines, whatever, are still regenerating in the current build. I thought that was a bug, but I guess this is an early implementation of the feature, which who knows how it fucking works, right?
And we're also retiring with the idea if the weapon capacitor assignment, for example, should affect all the turrets on a ship, which is currently not the case.
Okay, I just hope that it's not gonna affect the turrets completely, but I don't know, if all the power is to the shields, maybe just have 20% less ammo or something like that in the turrets. Because if you affect it even more, it's not gonna work. It's gonna render turrets useless again.
An important thing we added in 3.15 are minimum regen. for all power triangle assignments.
Oh, that's basically what I already talked about. Yeah, I thought that was I honestly thought that was a bug, but I guess it's a feature. Okay.
We're not happy with the current flight tuning. What we did in 3.14 and 15 was pushing the ships into an archetype space, but that also meant that a lot of the differences between the ships were lost. And we also had to trick some numbers here and there. For example, ships can now strafe up way faster than they can strafe down. That is down to some magic numbers we added, but we actually want to reduce these magic numbers and do it properly with the thruster tuning. This will be, however, a longer ongoing process, but in the end we will get a more realistic feeling ship handling out of it.
So you just redid the ship handling and you want to do it again long term. Okay.
What we added in 3.15 by very popular demand are options for the TVI visibility. So you can go into your options now and set your TVI visibility to always on if you do not want the TVI to fade away. This will take a considerable amount of time, so this will be an ongoing thing for quite a while.
I mean, the addition of a vector indicator being always visible is just like game breaking, like 10 out of 10 IGN. Like we fucking whine about that forever now, but okay.
And an important disclaimer here, we'll try to be as real as possible, but we always have to take it back to the point of fun. We're not aiming for realism, we are aiming for believability and enjoyment.
Yeah, okay. I completely agree with that, and I'm just waiting to see how it pans out. Okay, good job in the future, CAG? I don't know.
The idea of trimming was born out of two things. First, players who play decoupled, they wanted to have a control to actually hover at a certain altitude. And the other thing was, we looked at how military choppers implement their trimming systems, and then we thought, maybe that is something that can be added especially for dual stick users. So we investigated a trimming system where you can push a button and then set your left or your right stick in a specific position, and you let go of the button and the ship will keep that input. And any kind of input you do afterwards will be in relation to that. So currently we have this in a prototype state, and we'll try to give it to the players once it is out. This kind of system will allow mouse and keyboard players to have a smooth thruster control again, as opposed where currently when they press W and S, they just go to the full forward and backward motion. So that gives us a little bit more control when this type of control is needed.
This is a really welcome addition, because like for all of us that like low flying, that will be really cool, because you can just like trim your ship not to fall down into the ground, and you can just like concentrate on flying close to the ground, and that's it. But we still didn't have, like, we didn't get a date, and we don't get any dates in this fucking video, so yeah, let's just continue.
As you might have noticed in 3.14, we somewhat botched the auto gimbal implementation. During flying, you will see that the auto gimbal aiming crosshairs, they will kind of like go all over the place. So in 3.15, we actually fixed that and rewrote how the auto gimbals work.
Oh, did you? Really? Like, deep down? Did you really? I mean, they're not glitching around anymore, but they're still dog shit, and it's really hard to fucking keep your aim on a thing if you're in a bigger ship. I only tested it out in the Andromeda, but still, it's like, it's not that good. It is not good. So please redo it.
However, we are not really completely happy with the auto gimbal system, because at the moment it feels for us like it's being a skill bridge instead of having an actual purpose in the game. So going forward, we're going to investigate what the actual purpose of auto gimbal, or the auto gimbal mode in general, should actually be.
I mean, you're trying to give it purpose. Why? The purpose, the main purpose should be for like people that are not that good at aiming to have some assistance. And they're gonna have a drawback by having like less DPS or something like that. And that's completely okay. Why are you trying to reinvent the wheel? Like, I don't see the purpose of that.
We're also investigating further things like turning off your weapon assists on purpose when you need it. This is certainly not something that the average player will do, but we know a couple of PvP players who really would like to have that option at times.
I mean, we already have that. Unless you want to give us a hotkey, which would be fine, because that's actually pretty good, because like most of the times for some reason size 2 weapons on a Buccaneer just don't fire, and they're drawing power, they're drawing the ammo from the other guns, but they're not firing for some fucking reason. So if we can have them on a group, like not on a subgroup like on a fire group, but on something where we can just like deactivate them when they're just being talk shit, that would be much appreciated, because like I've lost a lot of time in fights trying to run away so I can disengage the shitty guns that are not firing.
And good news for 3.16, we're adding staggered fire groups for pilots. So we rewrote the staggered firing algorithm, so now it staggers not between all the weapons you have, but between every type of weapon that you have per weapon group, which means we can completely give this into the control of a pilot.
This could be a cool addition, to be honest. Like, that could potentially give you more time on target with like less DPS, yeah, but if you can spend your time on target a bit more, that could be potentially good, but we'll see, I guess.
And the last of the short-term plans, turrets. At the moment, we cannot make turrets just better than, or turret weapons just better than non-turret weapons, because a weapon is a weapon. But we're currently working with the weapon team to figure out whether or not we can just buff certain properties of a weapon.
So on top of them having pretty much unlimited ammo compared to pilot control weapons, and having an aimbot or aim assist, you wanna make them even better. Okay.
A good use case here is, for example, the hammerhead. While it's very, very dangerous in close quarters, once you get at a specific distance, the bullets, they're just flying too slow to actually make the hammerhead a meaningful anti-fighter platform. And this is what we want to change. So we're investigating whether or not we can just buff all the turrets on the hammerhead without changing the actual weapon itself.
This is true and false at the same time. So what I guess he is saying is that he wants to extend the range on the turrets. Fine, but check this out. If you have a capable pilot of the hammerhead, he can be close to the enemy fighters and he can keep you close and keep you on target. Yes, I have, with my friends, took down a player, a PvP hammerhead, with just a hurricane, and I say just under quotations, of course, because that was in 3.14, where like the shields weren't as good as they are now, and I know how to manage my speed and my distance from the target, and I know how to evade some shots. But still, most people don't know how to do that. Like, why do you want to make it impossible for us to kill a fucking hammerhead? That's... I don't get it. I mean, I know that I sound negative. Like, in the past, I don't know how long, I've been only, like, making negative reviews and negative, like, outside ISCs, but, like, seriously, in World War II, you could have killed a B-25 or a B-17 with a BF-109. You could have. You can kill a fucking Huey with a AK round. Why wouldn't you be able to kill a hammerhead in like a single hurricane with like 2 people inside of it? Like, why do you want this to be like much harder than it is now?
So these were a couple of our short-term plans currently in development. We'll show more of them the closer you're getting to be finished. But now let's jump ahead and talk about some long-term plans. Little caveat here, all these things we're going to talk about haven't been started yet, and they may still change over time, but we wanted to share our thinking just the same. So one of the most important aspects we want to change in the future is the problem of high speed. We know that high-speed combat doesn't work well, and we also know that low-speed combat between 200 and 300 meters per second is incredibly enjoyable. How are we going to resolve that? We don't know yet. We'll see.
I mean, once again, like, bounty hunting or fighting is not enjoyable, like, at all, because, you know, desync and everything. I thought that they were gonna talk about desync, like positional desync and rubber banding, but no, they're talking about some other shit. But speed is not an issue, acceleration is the issue. if you can counter acceleration by clicking a button that like matches your ship's speed to the enemy ship, and you keep locked onto him, but you still have a chance to maneuver around it, that would be a completely other story. Like if you play Space Engineers, you probably saw that already. You can only lock onto like match target speed if you're like under 500 meters or something like that. I forgot, but like that's the only solution in my mind that I can see. Like everything else is not going to work, and this is easy mode, so it's not that good. It is not a good solution, but it is a solution nevertheless. Maybe if you let us match the speed of like bigger targets, don't let us match the speed of like small fighters and shit, but still, like people are still gonna fucking joust, and that's it. Like you can't really counter that. And yeah, I know that there is like a button to match speed of a target, but did you try it? It doesn't really work. Or I mean, you can do something like, I don't know, like if you want to go faster than the SCN speed, you need to like spool up your drive or something, or like go into another state of flight or something, I don't know, so you can actually go faster. But still, that beats the point. Like we love going fast on the ground. It's fun. Like you need to be like CIG really needs to be smart about this, because once they, like, if they do some of these things that I just said, they're probably gonna break something else. And I'm not talking about bugs. Yeah, they're probably gonna introduce 1,000 new bugs, but still, they're gonna break something else by like changing the flight modes and flight movement and everything. I don't know.
The next part is ballistic ammo management. At the moment, we have very low ballistic numbers in the game, and this is because the physicalized armor system is not online yet. So you can expect some changes towards ballistic ammo and how we manage ballistic ammo in the future.
Oh, thank God they'll listen to the community and they're gonna give us like magazines and shit. Whew, thank you.
We also would like to introduce a custom operator mode for EMP, because as a pilot you need more data and more information what you can do in order to shut down another ship that you're fighting against.
This is a welcome addition, because like we don't have enough fire groups to have like all the weapons and all the EMPs on our joysticks. So yeah, good job. But when though? When though, Calrissian?
We also toyed with the ideas of flak. We would like to have a flak concept that is an area denial weapon that works against fighters or missiles or even incoming projectiles.
And now the question imposes itself, like why not have that on turrets or as like pilot-controlled weapons?
Also, we're currently working with the AI team to copy typical flight maneuvers that players do to AI ships. In the same vein, we also would like to try to have AI ships not using, abusive behaviors that are, well, less enjoyable.
Maybe first fix the desync, and then we're gonna talk about doing, I mean, I know these guys are not gonna fix the desync, it's not their fucking thing, but like, have your guys fix desync, and then we can talk about AI, because we don't know how AI actually flies. Like seriously, we do have some speculations that it flies weirdly, but it could be all due to desync, but maybe it's not. I've played on like, I was alone on servers and I had desync and like rubber banding and positional desync and everything like that. If you fix that, maybe we could know if AI actually flies like it should. It probably doesn't, but you still need to fix the fucking desync CIG.
So what did we learn this week?
I really don't know. We've learned things. That the things are gonna be better and things are gonna change in the immediate future, but like more long term than like mid, but like they're not gonna be soon, but like they're gonna be I don't know what we fucking learned. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you to all my patrons that are supporting the channel. And I'm sorry about the longer video, but this is a really important topic, and I really needed to like let off some steam and like tell, like, if CAG is watching, I hope that I've given them like some feedback on this, right? So yeah, anyway, thank you for watching, and don't forget to bring a thumbs up when you're traveling into space, and subscribe, 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 whatever. Thank you, love you, bye. Mwah.